The nerdy Halisimmer.
Hey guys, welcome to the last episode of my tutorial series on how to fly on VETSIM and ATC phraseology for helicopters. We're going to talk about in-flight communications and the approach and landing procedure. Let's start out with handoffs. A handoff is when an air traffic controller tells you to contact a different frequency. This happens when you're about to leave or climb out of his airspace. Helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, contact Boston approach on 118.25. Frequencies will always have to be read back. 118.25 November 9051 Whiskey Mike. Now we will change frequencies and do our initial call to the new station. Usually the new controller will already expect us to call, so all we have to state is the station's name, our call sign and our altitude. Boston approach, helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, level 3500. Level means that we are in level flight, so we are neither climbing nor descending. If you're flying above the transition altitude, let's say at flight level 130, you don't have to say level flight level 130, you would just say flight level 130. If you're descending, you would state the altitude that you're passing while you make your call, and you would also say the altitude that you're descending to. Boston approach, helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, 4700 descending 3000. Vice versa, when you are on a climb, Boston departure, helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, 3400 climbing 7000. Sometimes when you get handed off to a very busy frequency, you might hear the following. Helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, contact Boston approach on 118.25, call sign only. In this case, our call to the next station would be nothing but the station's name and our call sign. As a VFR pilot, you might hear frequency change approved. This is usually done when you leave the CTR into Class Echo or uncontrolled airspace, where you are no longer required to monitor the frequency that you've been on. They might also advise you to monitor Unicom, which by now you should know on VETSIM is 122.8. This is the universal frequency on VETSIM that is being extensively used if there are no controllers online. Of course, you would only use it for relevant information. It's not the platform to talk about your daily life. In very busy airspaces, such as the airspace above Los Angeles or the special VFR of New York City, there are specific frequencies for helicopters on which they can self-announce. Again, that would be something for the Unicom frequency on VETSIM. For instance, LA traffic, helicopter November 9051 Whiskey Mike, tracking west on Artesia 1000 feet, then proceeding south along the 710 LA traffic. When you fly IFR, you will have to file an IFR flight plan. Check on my videos for an example for that, and you will be in constant contact with ATC control. ATC will ensure the separation to other aircraft and will monitor your flight on their radar screens from your departure airport to your destination. This is not the case for flying VFR. Once you leave the CTR or the airspace of a controller, you are responsible for your own navigation as well as the separation to other aircraft. If you want to still have your flight monitored by an ATC controller, you can ask for flight following or radar services. The air traffic controller will give you a specific transponder code, and once he has made radar contact, will give traffic information along your flight path. These radar services are offered on a workload permitting basis. That means if the air traffic controller is too busy, he can decline your request for flight following. Also, radar services do not relieve you from your responsibility as pilot in command to keep a sharp lookout for other aircraft in your vicinity. Here's an example how you could ask for flight following. Bremen radar, helicopter Delta Hotel Oscar Mike India, EC35 is 5 miles southeast of the Helingen VOR, 1500 feet, request radar services to Echo Delta Victor Quebec. Again, notice the typical structure of a radio call. Who's the station that you are calling? Who are you? Where are you? And what are your intentions, or what is your request? Helicopter Delta Hotel Oscar Mike India, Bremen radar, guten Tag, squawk 7002 and squawk ident please. Now we enter 7001 into our transponder and press the squawk ident button. You can also press the squawk ident within your VETSIM client. Pressing the ident button on your transponder, your radar signal should light up for a few seconds on the radar screen of the controller, which makes it easier for him to identify you, especially if he has a lot of signals on his screen. Once he has identified you, he will tell you that you are a radar contact and he might give you some traffic information. Delta Hotel Oscar Mike India Bremen radar, traffic information, a Cessna 172 at your 4 o'clock position at 2000 feet, report traffic in sight. Now you should look for that airplane at your 4 o'clock position, which is right and aft of the heading of your helicopter. If you see it, you should report traffic in sight. If you do not see it, report traffic not in sight. ATC might tell you to maintain visual separation, that means keep well clear of the other aircraft. And sometimes you might hear no factor, that simply means that ATC is giving you information about another aircraft, but they don't expect that aircraft's flight path to be of any concern to you. Okay, last but not least, airspace transitions. Let's say you're cruising along nicely in Class Echo airspace, but between you and your destination airport there is a huge Class Bravo, Class Charlie or Class Delta airspace. Now here are your options. You could fly around them, you could try and if possible climb above them, or try to fly through them. If you want to transition in airspace, you need to get in contact with ATC. Let's look at this example. We are flying our helicopter northbound along the Autobahn or A9 from Munich to our destination Nuremberg at 3,500 feet. If we continue along the highway, we're going to meet the Class Delta of the airport Ingolstadt München Echo Tango Sierra India, which goes from the ground to 3,700 feet. Above the Class Delta there is a military restricted airspace called R147, which unfortunately enough is active today, so there is no VFR traffic allowed. So I could fly around the Class Delta, which is quite a detour, or I'm climbing to an altitude of at least 7,500 feet. I don't want to do any of this, so I'm going to ask for permission to transition the airspace or cross the airport. In real life, the Class Delta is the CTR of the airport Ingolstadt, so naturally I would contact Ingolstadt Tower and request the transition. However, on VATSIM, Ingolstadt is usually uncontrolled. But seeing as this is still a Class Delta airspace and I need to get in contact with ATC to be allowed to fly through it, I'm going to contact the next higher up station that is currently online, in this case Munich Radar. Munich Radar, helicopter Delta Hotel Oscar Mike India with a request. Delta Mike India, Munich Radar, pass your message. Delta Mike India, Bell 206, 10 miles south of Echo Tango Sierra India, 3,500 feet. Request transition Class Delta of Ingolstadt northbound via Sierra and November 1. Notice how I outlined my intended flight path through the Class Delta via the visual reporting points Sierra and November 1. Delta Mike India, you are cleared into the Class Delta Ingolstadt, no traffic observed, report leaving the CTR. I'm going to end this tutorial series with an approach into Innsbruck Airport. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned something. There's a lot more to learn, of course, when flying with live ATC, so get started today. And don't be afraid, as I mentioned in the first episode of this series, everybody starts out as a beginner. And the great thing about VATSIM is that you can hone your ATC skills in a simulation environment, so if you ever have the possibility to fly in real life, ATC will pose absolutely no problem for you. One final advice about flying VFR in a sim: if you use a GPS that shows you the location of visual reporting points, that's all very well. You can see me using Reality XP's GPS in my videos. However, you should also try out flying visually without the help of a GPS. You will find that true VFR flying is quite challenging without the help of electronic maps and GPSs and the likes. And it's very easy to get lost if you fail to correctly identify landmarks such as roads, train tracks, settlements, forests, water bodies, etc. Alright, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about my tutorial series. Maybe I'll be seeing you on VATSIM, and have fun on our approach into Innsbruck Airport. See ya! We will approach Innsbruck from the east, that means we will fly VFR route Mike. First waypoint is Whiskey India Mike 1, maximum altitude of 4,000 feet. From there we will follow the river Inn and the Autobahn to Whiskey India Mike 2, and from there direct to Whiskey India Mike 3, which gets us south of the airport. Welcome aboard, we are flying down the Inn Valley at 3,500 feet, destination Innsbruck.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot, go ahead.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot EC35 is 10 miles east, Mike 1 at 3500 with Delta to land. We've just passed the city of Kufstein, Austria, and we can see the river Inn on our left-hand side.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot, QNH Innsbruck 1003, confirm landing at Innsbruck.
1003 and affirm Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot.
Roger, standby.
Always read back altimeter settings.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot enter control zone via VFR route Mike 1, Mike 2, Mike 3 and report approaching Mike 3. Maximum altitude 4000 feet, IFA inbounds for runway 26.
Enter control zone via Mike 123, report Mike 3 and not above 4000 Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot. So we are supposed to follow the VFR route Mike into the CTR of Innsbruck. Normally you're supposed to report each and every one of those waypoints as well as your altitude when reaching. So Mike 1, Mike 2 and Mike 3. However, in this case we were asked to only report Mike 3, which we are about to reach in 2 miles.
And Golf Echo Mike to wind 360 degrees 6 knots, runway 26, cleared to land.
Land 26, Golf Echo Mike.
Welcome to Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot Mike 3, 3500.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot, continue initially south of the field and please confirm you want to go to GAC North or south?
GAT North please, Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot.
Delta Lima Foxtrot copied. Initially stay south of the field. I'll call you shortly for crossing. Traffic, IFA inbound traffic for runway 26.
Holding south of the field, Delta Lima Foxtrot. The airport can be seen on our right hand side and I have entered a left hand holding pattern, and on my return leg I was called again by tower.
Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot, join initially direction threshold runway 26.
Sorry, say again for Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot.
Delta Alpha Lima Foxtrot, proceed direct threshold runway 26.
Direct threshold runway 26, Delta Hotel Alpha Lima Foxtrot.
Golf Foxtrot November Echo Mike via Alpha, taxi to the apron.
Ja, Alpha to the apron, Golf Echo Mike.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Kilo descent, altitude 9.
All pretty easy so far. I have started my descent now towards the threshold of runway 26, on which you can see an aircraft departing right now. I'm expecting the landing clearance any second now.
Delta Lima Foxtrot, the wind 360 degrees 6 knots, runway 26, cleared to land. After landing, air taxi via Zulu GAC North. Report on ground.
Runway 26 cleared to land, thereafter air taxi via Zulu GAT North, Wilco, Delta Lima Foxtrot. Wilco meaning will comply, and that was in reference to his instructions to report when on ground. He cleared us to land, but that does not mean that you have to literally touch down the helicopter onto the runway. Delta Lima Foxtrot vacated 26.
Delta Lima Foxtrot, danke.
This was a simple courtesy call that I have left the runway and he can go on about his business. So once I set the helicopter down, I will report on ground, and that was our landing at Innsbruck. This is a very nice freeway scenery for Innsbruck Airport that you can find on the webpage flyagi.de, FLYAGI.de. Delta Lima Foxtrot on the ground. Dankeschön.
Danke, schönen Abend.